our show. We're sitting here at break talking about close talkers, which is kind of funny because being on the radio, nobody actually realizes how close people may be to each other when they're on the microphones. Of course, we have nice, safe distances. Anyways, enough about close talking. Everybody knows them. And Dave Duncan, who actually brought some good advice, says you got to tell a close talker when they're talking too close to you. Cameron, do you agree?
I don't know if I'd have the courage to do that personally, but I like the idea. Sounds like a kind of the start of an uncomfortable discussion.
It does. It sounds like a Seinfeld episode. If Seinfeld covered it, we're okay. Cameron Johnson does join us, a broker with Itex, a company that helps their clients enrich their business and personal lives through the power of organized trade. Cameron, you're a perfect distance away from me. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Likewise.
Let's get into, it's the end of the year. We've touched on Itex as a great place where people can barter and exchange goods and services. But now here we are at the end of the year, and there's some benefit to utilizing trade that maybe some people don't know about.
Yeah, I think I like to talk about trade everywhere I go. As Dave was saying earlier, I think it's not just real estate. If you're not talking about the business you're in and connecting with new people on an almost daily basis, you're not working, you're not doing your job. And I think there are sort of a lot of layers of hidden value in trade that people wouldn't necessarily it wouldn't occur to them, at first glance. And one of the times of year that really comes out, in my opinion, is year end, because there are so many year-end and or year-beginning events that people can take care of, but many of those things involve a lot of time and sometimes quite a bit of money because you're consulting with professionals. I'm talking about tax prep, estate planning, managing or setting up marketing or growth plans for your business in the upcoming year. Things like this where you're hiring professionals to help you. And not everybody has money or time or the wherewithal to get those things done on their own, especially if you're an already busy business owner. And I think trade is one of those really great, almost hidden weapons for executing things like that.
Well, in some ways, it's time and money can be your two most valuable things. And getting some of these things done, it takes your time and your money. It's pretty tough to get away from the time aspect because whether it's tax planning or financial planning or whatever it may be, hosting a party, buying gifts, at some point it's going to take either your time or your assistant's time or somebody's time.
Exactly.
But sometimes you can maybe lower the burden of the actual out-of-pocket costs, which is important.
No, I agree. And not just that. I think, those are the types of things that people tend to, if it's not, especially now, this time of year when things are hectic, it's like, if it's not essential, it's off my list. And so that means some of these things are not just that you push them off or maybe you rush through them, but you forego them altogether. And with the trade involved in your life, whether you're doing it with a group like Itex or even just with a CPA or an attorney that you know and are friends with and can arrange something with directly, I think not having to forego those services, not having to do all your bookkeeping and your taxes for a complicated business on your own on the weekends or in your spare time, that's a great boon to not have to do those things, or having the financial flexibility to hire somebody that you want to hire that's good at it, that does it for a living, and can get you ahead of the curve, so to speak, that can do a much better job than you'd be able to do on your own. Either one of those things, to me, is a pretty significant upgrade. Potentially financially, obviously on your time, your peace of mind, your stress level, and that's one of the things that people tend to forget about. I do it every year. I encourage all my clients to do it. Hey, it's December, time to get your books cleaned up, get your tax prep done, call our CPAs, call our attorneys, trade for these services. Don't forego them. Don't pay cash unless you have to. Get these things done that are important that will set you up to succeed going forward without putting it on the old Visa or the American Express.
Do you tend to think that a lot of these, is there a way to create plans? I kind of call it like wiping the slate clean, right? You're always like, I got to get my taxes done, or I got to get this planning done, or I got to put money in this account before the end of the year. There's so many details that have to get taken care of. This sounds like it kind of helps you start the new year a little bit cleaner.
Well, I think so. And obviously, I'm not talking about anything no one knows about here. I'm just talking about an efficient way to get these things done.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
I mean, but the amazing part is people probably spend way more time holiday shopping than maybe doing some tax planning or some
cleaning up the books on their
business or whatever it may be. So you end up with this. It's interesting where people place value, right? I mean, now the value is on which toys you're going to buy, and there's less value. And truly,
yeah, beating people to the $50 plasma at Walmart.
yeah, versus getting the things done where okay, now that you've done your tax planning, or you've saved some money by running your business more effectively. Now you don't have to go to the doorbuster.
Exactly.
You can buy it online on Cyber Monday, and maybe you will not have gotten the world's lowest deal, but
you're feeling better about it.
Yeah.
The win, it's a net gain for you. Absolutely. You know, when I started my business, for example, I was going to file as a certain type of corporation, and once I was up and running, I thought better of it, and I called my attorney that I had access to now that he was on trade. I didn't have $300 an hour cash to pay the guy for 30, 40 hours of work or what have you. But because of the flexibility trade gave me, he totally redid my corporation status. I'm all, clean on the up and up. I've got a officer's handbook for this pretty small company I run, but it's run like the big boys. I've got it set up the right way for tax purposes. They've given me the right types of accounts to put the certain kinds of money in, all these things that I don't know much about. Clearly, you're hearing me talk. I don't know much about it, but I got professionals in my corner because I was able to trade for those services.
It sounds, and the way one of the reasons I love having you on the show is what you do is you kind of mimic a lot of what our show is about. If you had the choice of hiring a professional to take care of the important things that are out there, whether it's finance or real estate or as you said, an attorney, and you go all the way down the list, auto repair, painting your house. If you have this list of professionals that you can turn to, and you have a way of essentially using your own business to get them, not necessarily at a discount, but you get to use their services in a way that is more cost effective, wouldn't you want to do that? Wouldn't you as a listener, wouldn't you want to be able to have a team in your corner that you can access to come take care of some of the things that you need?
Exactly, and especially when you're paying for that, when you're leveraging it by just doing more work. That's what your business is there for. So add a little bit of production to the production line, so to speak, and if that production puts that team in your corner, finding the professionals to get these increasingly complex and diverse needs fulfilled. Why wouldn't you want those professionals there? You're right. I agree completely, and that's what we're all about. I think, there's a place in everybody's life for the DIY stuff. If you're a hobbyist or you love working on your car, maybe one or two of those things. If you want to get with the spouse or the kids and clean out the backyard real good one spring, that's all well and good. But more often than not, in this really complex, busy life and world we live in, you want the professionals in your corner. It's gonna work out better in the long run.
Well, it's funny. We even talked about talk about yard work, and I have now found that there are less and less people who are owning lawnmowers and mowing their lawns because of the fact that you can have people come do it. And it's pretty inexpensive, and you think about it, and some people like to do it. I'm not one who I don't own a lawnmower, and we're looking around, and nobody here seems to mow. Heather mows. She mows her lawn. Don't you live in an apartment?
Yeah, but
So, anyways, but I think there's the point of like, as you said, it's complex, it's busy, it's hard to find time to do these things. And I'm like anti-DIY. I'm like, if somebody else can do it, please let them, because I don't pretend to be good at at anything really.
Sure.
But there is some elements of, look, I'm not the best person for this. There's no way that I am the best person to do certain things around the house. There's no way.
Well, and in today's world, you shouldn't be. You can't be.
You can't go servicing your own furnace.
No, it's too complex. I guess I don't want to say the downside, but one of the costs of our incredibly modern society is that
the efficiency.
Yeah, it's incredibly specialized. You don't know how to actually fix your own computer or rebuild your own car engine. Things like this that maybe 100 years ago or 50 years ago you could do. More of these things were easily accessible, simpler, etc. But
I mean, now, your car broke down on your way here last time. And if you think about it, you pop the hood. Everybody pops their hood like they're going to know what the heck's going on. Right? You pop the hood and you stand there for a second, like a dad out of the 50s TV shows. And you're looking at the car and, can't really see anything. Looks good. It's not running. It looks good. It's very difficult with the complexity. I mean, these hybrid engines or plug-ins. I mean, this is not. It's not your 50s car that you just go fix.
No, cars and home appliances, like you said, and iPods and computers and even, I don't know, I think it's all over the map. Even like I've got a guy that does flooring, and he's telling me about the new flooring and counter materials and things like this, and the things they're putting into walls now. Even like simple home patches are just not as simple as they used to be. So,
and now here's the kicker. Now this is my personal anti-DIY. Now there's so many people that you need to do the stuff. You almost need like a little personal house manager assistant, because you're like, God, all I have to do is call the carpet cleaners and they're going to come to my house. It's all I have to do, and figure out a time that I can be there. And you get through another day and you're like, God, I did not call the carpet cleaners. It's amazing how difficult it is to manage the amount of people.
Push down the list.
Well, that everybody comes, you got to have a 4-hour window for every single person to make it to your house to fix the stuff, which, while you're getting your car fixed for 8 hours.
Well, and one of the good things about a good trade group is that that little personal concierge you're talking about will be provided. In my business, at least, we give folks dedicated account managers. So rather than even... if you've got a trade account, and with most trade groups, I should say, not just mine, but, if you need your carpets cleaned, you don't even have to call the carpet cleaner. You call your trade group and say, I need my carpets cleaned. Here are my available dates. They make the calls to find the person that can do the work for you and set up the appointment. So there's that added layer of, assistance or support when you're working with one of these companies. But I think regardless of whether, you're an Itex member or you're doing something in organized trade, or even if you're doing it on your own, like I said, if your buddy from college is a CPA now, take the time, talk to them, talk to these professional people if you're not using them, and, look at the long-term benefits, tax savings, financial improvements, peace of mind when you're driving your car around like me. Get the professionals to do the work for you, and if you can't afford to pay them straight up, see if you can work out a trade.
Yeah.
It goes a long way.
Well, and as busy as everybody is, I'm sure, I doubt there's anybody out there who can't think of one thing that's been on their list or two things that's been on their to-do list. I know my wife keeps growing for me, so I'm going to call you to see who can figure that whole thing out. Hey, Cameron, thanks so much for joining us. We do have to go to break. Stick around. The conversation will continue after this.